A very good morning to all of you and welcome to an Explore webinar series. So as part of YAR Geek Challenge Season 10, we are organizing this series of webinars in order for our participants to understand different problems that are out there in different fields, so that they could look at these problems and which may lead to some opportunities where they could pick and work on those problems. So today, we now at this session to talk about food tech. So we have Dr. Prabhu Nadaraja, founder member of Northeast Organics, which is an initiative of OMNE, and who is a researcher at YAL IT Hub with us today to share their insight on different problems that are there in the food tech field. So let's start with Dr. Prabhu. So Dr. Prabhu, over to you.
Thank you for this opportunity. I'll share the slides. Okay, so with a small introduction, I'll start. So I'm Prabhu Nadaraja, so founder member of Northeast Organic. So actually this institution is working to promote the organic agriculture in northern and eastern provinces of Sri Lanka. So recently we have started a food innovation laboratory in Jaffna to promote or support food startups in our region. So before going into the details, I would like to start with a small video. So this video is produced by one of our partner, EIT, European Institute of Innovation and Technologies. So I'll play the video if
Dr. Prabhu, I think it's not audible.
Sorry for that. I'll play again.
We need to future-proof our food. Why? Because the world population is expected to reach almost 10 billion by 2050. And currently, we are facing many demographic, environmental, and health issues that are threatening the future of our food system. Today, almost 1 billion people go hungry globally, while twice that number eat too much of the wrong foods. Food production accounts for up to 30% of global greenhouse gas emissions, 40% of global land use, and 70% of freshwater consumption. To make matters worse, we waste almost a third of our food globally. We believe that we are all responsible for and connected to the food that we eat, so we all need to work together to improve it. At EIT Food, we're building an inclusive and innovative community where the consumer is actively involved, so that we can deliver an innovative food sector that produces healthy and sustainable food, trusted by society. And how are we doing this? By creating and scaling up agri-food startups, by developing talents and leaders to transform the food system, by launching new innovative products and ingredients to deliver healthier and more sustainable food, and engaging the public so that they can become the agents of change in the food system. Let's build the future of food together.
Okay. So 10 billion people by 2050 need healthy and safety food every day. So I underline the word every day, that food is a stuff which we need every day. So there's a huge market and the opportunities are many. So we have to explore it as much as possible. So I would like to highlight some important points which we have seen in the video. So 800 million undernourished people are there. At the same time, 2000 million people are overweight. So what do we need? More food or right food? So we already got to know that with these numbers that 2000 million people are overweight. So we have enough food, or the food that is produced is not evenly distributed. So the challenge is different. It's not producing more food, but producing the right food. So what is right food? I would say right food is the safe and healthy food for all. We will go into the details later, but again, I would like to remind you that 10 billion people in 2050, that is 10,000 million people in 2050, need safe and healthy food. So this is a great opportunity. So if we take the market of personal computers, 30 years before is a huge, but nowadays it's almost gone. Now we use mostly laptops, tablets, and smartphones. But if you take some products, rice products, so which is there for last few thousand years, and it will persist in the market for another 1,000 years or even more. So the food is a very stable market, but the trends may change over time. So we have to carefully watch and plan our startups accordingly. So before going into the details about the startups, I would like to highlight a few points published in an international medical journal. So they say the food, which become a greatest health and environmental challenge of this century. Then why? Yes, they gave the answer. The current food systems are becoming more industrialized, globalized, and dominant by large actors capable of economies of scale and maintaining long supply chains. So those large actors are mainly focusing on the profits. So they are ignoring the importance of the diversity. They are ignoring the importance of nutritional food, or they don't even care about how that food production contributes to the climate change. So we have seen in the video very clearly that 30% of carbon dioxide is produced by the food production or food transport. And 40% for the global land use, 40% is occupied for food production. So we don't have more land to produce more food for the coming up generations or the increasing population. So we have to think in different ways. So we have to rethink our way of producing food. So that's an important thing that we all have to think. So then it's a great opportunity for startups to address those challenges. Then as we seen in the video, so 70% of fresh water is used for food production. So you know that water crisis that we are facing nowadays. So we don't have much water to use in the future. So with that in mind, so here we analyze, that because of the increasing power of larger players in the global market, especially in the West, some food items have exceeded the boundary of healthy boundary, exceeded the healthy boundary. The orange color margin is the healthy boundary with 100%. So we should not exceed, otherwise then we will easily get different diseases, cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and various things. So, but that it's not just small amount. Too much red meat is consumed in the West. Here in South Asia and in our developing countries, too much starch is consumed. But some food items are completely ignored, such as whole grains, nuts. Here you can see there's very smaller in the when compared with other components. So to rethink our food system, startups can play a great role. So here I am sharing the healthy eating plate developed by the Harvard Medical School. Harvard is is leading this research globally. So they say half a portion of the daily plate should be allocated for vegetables and fruits, not for anything. And a reasonable portion should be allocated for whole grains, not for the processed flour, but for the whole grains. Then the healthy proteins is also important, but they recommend to take protein through the fish, poultry, beans, and nuts. So half of the protein can come from vegetable sources. And they clearly tell to avoid red meat or limit red meat and to avoid all processed meat. So as a startup, where you can focus. So you can focus on many areas. So one could be food production, but food production is not just the one. So you can focus on changing the consumer behavior towards more eco-friendly and healthy food. Then digitalization is very much important nowadays, especially in the COVID pandemic. Then you can also focus in the food lost and waste. In the first video, we have seen that 1/3 of the food is wasted before it is consumed. So it's huge. So you can also focus on how you can reduce the food lost and waste. Then the food safety and quality is much important. Health and nutrition is another important topic. You know that many people, all the players talk about nutrition in their advertisements, but not actually focusing on that in their products. So then also the supply chain management. So how we can integrate local products into the supply chains, how we can go for shorter supply chains. So nowadays, you know that food is carried to miles and miles, but it's contribute to the climate change. At the same time, it disturbs the local food culture. So how we can create sustainable food systems within the city limits. So those can be your target areas where you can build different startup ideas. So before going into the details of different ideas, so I would like to tell you one thing. The local knowledge or indigenous knowledge systems is the treasure. So which can be turned into a global identity for all of us. You know that our food heritage is very precious from our past is still a living integral part of our life today. So we haven't lost our food culture yet, but it can be turned into an international global identity through the entrepreneurship. So that should be our goal. So I would like to discuss some examples for the projects which we focused in the recent past. So one thing is the seaweed. So these two photos in the behind are taken in Karinagar in our project area. So we produced seaweed. So it can be, it's a future food. Seaweed, 200 plus products as an ingredient. So from your toothpaste to various pharmaceutical products, seaweed is used. But this can be produced in large quantities, in metric tons in our sea, mainly in the shallow sea around the Jaffna Peninsula is a perfect place for growing various types of seaweeds. So sorry for the interruption. I'll share the screen now. So the seaweed is can be produced in the islands around the Jaffna in the shallow sea, but this opportunity is completely missed. Several trials have been done in the past. Most of them are successful, and Asian Development Bank invested a huge money to build a nursery in Jaffna. There are some companies producing seaweed in Manat, but not in Jaffna nowadays. So these opportunities which we have to take care of. Then I would like to talk about the superfood. It's a globally known superfood. It's not a new thing for us. It's the moringa, the murungai. It's there for in our home gardens for last 1,000 years, but we didn't know it's a superfood. You know that this is a very high quality protein and various other minerals in the moringa. Nowadays it's become very popular in the Western society. So they call it superfood, especially for the moringa leaf. The moringa is cultivated in a different ways. You can see in the pictures, it's a high density, ultra high density cultivation. So from a hectare of moringa, from a hectare, the moringa leaves in a year, 700 metric tons can be produced. So, you know that in our part, we have light throughout the year, so we can produce moringa throughout the year and export to Europe or America. So this is already happening in Jaffna. You know, there is a product, there's a startup in Popeye. So they produce moringa tea with the infusion of cinnamon. And this is exported to France, I think. Then finally, I would like to share another story from one of our trials. So when we introduced the organic rice production in Mana, we used azolla as a magic plant, a small magic plant, which is a biofertilizer, which can fix the nitrogen in the air into the water, because it's an azolla anabina complex. So it has the capacity to fix the nitrogen. So then we don't need urea. You know that in the air we have enough nitrogen. So if we have a plant, or if we can grow a plant which can fix the nitrogen in the paddy field, then we don't need urea. So this was very successful in 2019, and this can be replicated throughout our country nowadays because the government has adopted an organic policy. So there's a huge opportunity to use these new technologies nowadays with the support of government policies. You know, azolla is not just a biofertilizer, but a very good animal feed, a very high protein rich animal feed. You know, nowadays the farmers spend a lot of money for this artificial feed or compound feed, but azolla could be a very good alternative. But in the developed countries, they also produce bio oil and various other products from the azolla. So these are few examples I would like to tell you, but there are so many things. If you search, then you can find out so many treasures in our local heritage or the indigenous knowledge systems. But other than production, you can also focus on changing the consumer behavior. Especially, you know, you may heard that paleo diet or the vegan culture is becoming very popular in the West and globally. So you can, for those people, you can provide recipes, different recipes like that. So here's an example, BU app, which won a prize in the Europe recently for their consumer behavioral change. So you can also use these. You can also think of these kind of apps or programs or digitalization opportunities to address the challenges in the food system. So last year, from Northern Province, I think 2 companies participated in the international food exhibition, which is known as BioFact, which is very popular among the organic people. So next year in February, so BioFact is coming. So if you plan some interesting food products, you can actually bring those new innovation to the international global markets. So whenever you plan, do not just focus in Jaffna district or in a very small geographic location. Always try to have a larger plan. You can start with a small idea, but always try to expand and at least plan for the regional market, the South Asia, but also you can plan for the international market, global export opportunities. So we can discuss, if you have any questions, we can discuss that in the Q&A time. And also you can, anytime you can reach me through my email address, prabunada@gmail.com. When the COVID situation is permits, you can visit to our food innovation lab in Jaffna, but nowadays it's not that possible. And thank you again. I would like to say thank to the YAL IT Hub for giving me this opportunity. See you. Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Prabhu, for that insightful presentation. So we will be able to take the question and answer at the end of the session. Next, we are moving on to another presentation by Ms. Madhurya Mahendranathan, who is a researcher at YAL IT Hub. So she will present her findings on in the food tech field. Madhurya, over to you.
Yeah, I will share the screen. Okay, good morning, all of you. I'm Madhurya Mahendranathan. I'm working as a researcher at YAL IT Hub. I'm a master's holder at the University of Peradeniya. Now, I would like to present a view about the food tech industry. So you all know every business is classified into different industries based on the products they make and the markets they cater to. These industries are classified on their specialties, which are based on goods and services they provided. So in that such case, there are different kinds and types of business industries. Example, aerospace, transport, telecommunication, computer, etc., etc. But there is no bigger industry on our planet than food and agriculture, with a consistent and loyal customer base of 7 billion. Why we are telling like this? You all know each and every person who are living in the world need every day they need the food to survive. So with that, we all know about the term GDP, like gross domestic product, is the total monetary or market value of all the finished goods and services produced within the country borders in a specific time period. Though GDP is typically calculated in an annual basis, it is sometimes calculated on a quarterly. So with this understanding, this World Bank estimate the food and agriculture comprise about 10% of the global GDP, meaning that food and agriculture would be valued at about $8 trillion globally, based on the projected global GDP of $88 trillion for 2019. So with that, we can specify the importance of the food and agriculture industry. And also, if you consider the funding and investment, with more than $17 billion invested in food tech industry just in 2020. And according to the Pittsburgh, funding for the food tech has skyrocketed from about $60 million in 2008 to more than $1 billion in 2015. These findings, help us to understand the potential of food tech industry in the world. Okay, despite of the customer base, the food industry is facing unprecedented challenges in production, demand, and regulation stemming from customer trends. Customer demands and focus have changed in the recent years, we all know. An increasing focus by customers on sustainability, health, and freshness, those things has placed a significant pressure on the food industry to innovate. So these are the key drivers of the food industry for the innovation. If you look at the today trends in the food industry, the grocery ordering and the delivery represent the largest food category, while meal ordering comprises the greatest number of privately held venture-backed startups in food tech globally. So then a question will emerge, what is the future of the food science? So once we realize the problem in the food industry and aware about the trends, we can create a fantabulous solutions for those challenges. So what are the problems and challenges which are present in the food industry? Let's see about those. First one, undoubtedly, the food industry generates a considerable amount of waste, right from the sourcing the raw material to the food retailing and distribution. So another thing is eco-friendliness is becoming like a mantra now. So knowingly or unknowingly, the excess consumption and the improper disposal of plastics has come up as one of the major challenges faced by food and beverage managers today. So this is the one of the very big challenge in the food industry now. The another thing is about the health consciousness. The increasing incidences of the food-related disorders have promoted consumers to bring about vital changes in their diet and lifestyles, making them more health conscious than ever. So automatically their thought is diverted towards the purchasing foods without any added chemicals or preservatives. So health conscious is another thing. The next one is about the meat-free, like vegan foods, the growing concern towards animal assist, the changes in the food patterns. So with modern consumer vying for vegetarian and vegan products, the demand for the meat and other products has observed a significant decline in these days. So this is the one of the major challenges in the food and beverage industry currently. So another thing is the online presence. The online presence is one of the major challenges of food and beverage industry, considering that consumers are more tech-savvy and socially informed. They are thankful for internet. So while the co-industries, other industries are now already established their presence in commerce domain, but this particular sector has been relatively slow on the upkeep. So this is the another important challenge. Then next one, we will talk about the traceability, food traceability system. The traceability is one of the vital challenge, not just for the record management, but also to fulfill the bottom line, which generating revenue for every sector. So among consumers are now increasing interest to know what goes into their food. What are the ingredients that their food is having? So if we say simply, they are concerned about what they are eating. So food traceability is now like a big challenge, and also it's trending now. So another thing is about the inventory management. So given the limited shelf life of the food products, inventory management has come up to be one of the current issues in the food industry. The perishability factor is responsible for fact that food and beverage inventory is highly susceptible to foodborne pathogens and more. So this has promoted manufacturers to adopt new softwares to alleviate these issues. That the foodborne pathogens presence in the food that will affect the reputation of a company. So we can also think about this inventory management as well. So once we know about the problems or challenges which are present in the food and beverage industry, then we can think about the solution. So these trends depend on the problems which are present in the society these days. So on the word, so we can now talk about the trends. These days are product differentiation, automation, food safety and transparency. These are the trending items in the food industry, as well as the functional foods, the demand for plant-based meats and sustainable products. Like if we see these trends, that you can simply observe that these trends are emerged from those problems or challenges. So that functional foods mean those are containing like highly nutritious food items. So that health consciousness problems creating this trend in the society. Likewise, so we have to focus and consider both the problems or challenges and the trends when we think about a startup or the new inventions in the food industry. So yeah, these are here I would mention something about the budding industries from YIT, because not only in the developed countries or the other countries are following, innovating the new ideas, as well as in our community, our people also these days are trying to create some inventions or like innovations for our society. These are already invented some ideas like as I already told, budding industries from YIT. Like first one, if you say that vertical farming and drip irrigation systems, those are help to the farmers to produce like more than 10-fold of in the same land with full automation systems. So with less human intervention. These days, another big problem is the human resource, the workforce in the field, each field, both agriculture or food industry. So these automation systems help us to promote, do our innovations with less human interventions. The another thing, which is about the meal ordering platforms. So through that, you can order your favorite local food, restaurant food items right to your door. So this is another one. Next one about the meat substitutes. So now the trend towards the vegan foods that will create a demand and the gap for the meat substitute. So we can think there's already startup running about regarding this meat substitute. And another one is the online platform, which is they are selling the cashew produced by the local producers in the northern provinces, which also help which will help our farmers to sell their products among our community. So likewise, the next one is about the smart irrigation system. So like the smart irrigation system with advanced soil sensor technology and cloud-based agri analytics that integrates with the micro irrigation system, helping our society farmers to increase crop yield and that reduce the water usage. So there are so many advantages in this smart irrigation systems. So already one startup is there. Their focus is about the smart irrigation system. Finally, there is already a startup is there. They are seeking a revival in agriculture through making drones accessible to anyone to provide the innovative solution in agriculture. So these are some of the examples, as I already told, examples which are already present in our society. Those are the budding industries from YIT. So the people who are looking towards the new innovations in the food industry, these are some like examples or guidelines. So you can think about you can think based on these innovations or the problems and challenges which are already present in the society. So the solutions will always arrive from the problems or challenges, and you have to consider about the trends also. Then you can reach a bigger level of biggest stages, so you can reach the foreign industries when you think about the trends in especially the world trends. So with all of these consideration, please, you all can think about the new innovations and startups. With this information, I wish close this presentation. You can ask any clarification or questions in the question answer session. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhurya, for that very informative presentation. So if anyone have any questions, you can post it on the chat or Q&A, as well as you can raise your hand so that we can unmute you and you may ask a question. If you have any questions from either Madhurya or Dr. Prabhu, you may ask now.